So see if you have a contraction in your stomach or your chest. Okay, open up. And just allow the energy to start passing through. And more. And more. And more. And even more. And more. And even more. See if there's something you'd like to change in your life, you wish were different. Open up. And just allow the energy to pass through. If it wants to leave, just let it leave. And more. And more. And more. And even more. See if there's something that doesn't work in your life. That contraction is your body saying you got something and it wants you to let it go. And it's not going to go unless you let it go. You're in charge. So open up and just allow the energy to pass through. And more. And more. And more. And even more. See if you're still trying to figure something out this morning. All right. Ask your mind if it knows how to resolve the situation. It doesn't. So there's no point in asking something. It's like looking at an empty file cabinet for an answer, but you're going to keep looking and looking. It's not there. See if you haven't been disapproving of yourself for not finding an answer. So could you let go of disapproving of yourself? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself some more? And a little bit more. And more. 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 And more. And a little bit more. And more. And even more. And could you give yourself some approval? Since it's a decision, you need to discriminate. I just beat myself up, or I give myself approval. Who's it up to? Not up to anybody else but you. You got to take yourself off automatic. Being positive never hurt anything. So could you give yourself some approval? Could you decide to give yourself some more approval? Could you decide to give yourself a little bit more approval? And a little bit more. And could you decide to give yourself a little bit more approval? And a little bit more. 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 And more. And a little bit more. And see if you could bring up some of the wanting to control. Think of something you feel out of control about. That's the wanting to control. It's an out of control, lacking control feeling. Could you let go of that out of control feeling, that lacking control feeling? And more. And more. And more. And more. And more. And even more. And more. Let's see if you feel more in control or less in control than you did a few seconds ago. If you let go of wanting, you move into having. And it's perfectly okay to have. What's off is wanting, lack. See if you can bring up some of the wanting approval. Also, a lacking feeling, wanting approval, thinking that somebody's going to do something for you. And so you, instead of looking inside, you're looking outside and you're making a mistake. You're not discriminating. It's wanting approval is an inside job, not an outside job. And it's a lacking feeling. So could you let go of that lacking approval feeling? Your lacking approval feeling. Stop trying to get it from somebody. You aggravate yourself when you do that. But think of somebody who want their approval and not giving it to you. Or maybe it's yourself. Ego doesn't hand out approval too well because it's into wanting. So could you let go of that lacking approval feeling? And more. And more. And more. And more. And even more. And more. And more. And more. See if you feel approved of. You let go of wanting, you always move into having. You can't stand up and sit down at the same time, and you can't want and have at the same time. See if you could bring up some of the wanting to be safe, that lacking safety feeling. Wanting to be safe. If you don't feel safe, you're into wanting, which is the only reason you don't feel safe. If you let go of wanting to be safe, you move into having safety, and you should feel safe at all times. But if you're into wanting it, you're causing lack inside, and therefore you get lack. So could you let go of that lacking safety feeling? Your lacking safety feeling. And more. And more. And more. And could you let go of that lacking safety feeling a little bit more? And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And see if you feel safer than you did 2 seconds ago. If you let go of wanting, you always move into having. And see if you could bring up some of the wanting to be separate. Think of something you want to be separate from. Also a lacking feeling. Get that away from me. I want to be separate. Could you let go of that lacking, that wanting to be separate feeling? And more. And more. And could you let go of that lacking separate feeling too? That wanting to be separate. could show up as a wanting to be one, which will get you separation, wanting. So think of somebody, think of it, if it brings up some resistance, think of somebody you just don't like to be around. That's the wanting to be separate. So could you let go of that lacking separation, that wanting to be separate feeling? And more. And more. And more. And even more. Think of somebody that you just don't like. Could that be the wanting to be separate? The resistance? Could you let go of resisting? And more. And more. Maybe you're resisting your feelings. That's a wanting to be separate. Separating yourself from your feelings. All the time being in feelings. So there's another lie. So could you let go of resisting your feelings? And more. And more. And more. And even more. And more. And more. And more. And even more. See how you feel now. It should be open. Resistance is closed. You make a fist, you can't pick anything up because you're resisting it. You got to open up in order to have something fall in your hand. See if you're resisting being a millionaire. All right? Who's doing it? You are. Don't get into figuring it out. That's going to get you nowhere. But see if you haven't been resisting. Could you allow yourself to be a millionaire? See if there's a contraction in your stomach or your chest. That's resistance. You're resisting. Could you let go of resisting? And more. And more. And even more. And more. And even more. And more. And see if you've been trying to figure out, how do I do it? Or why can't I do it? You're whying yourself. Everybody else seems to do it, I can't do it. All right, ask your mind, why not? Why can't you do it? What's in the way? Ask your mind. How do I accomplish it? Ask your mind. It doesn't have an answer. You don't want to keep asking something that doesn't have an answer for an answer. That is strictly a waste of time, and when you're doing that, you're not discriminating. So see if you haven't been disapproving of yourself for not accomplishing that goal. All right, how does it help you to disapprove of yourself? Discriminate. And who's doing it? Discriminate. When you got on automatic, you didn't know you were beating yourself up. So it just kicked in. You got to catch it. Look for it. Because you let go of disapproving of yourself. And more. And a little bit more. And more. And even more. And even more. And more. And even more. and more, and more. And could you give yourself some approval? Could you give yourself some more approval? And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And more. And a little bit more. Now, I said yesterday about fear. That's the cause of all your problems. Fear, worry, concern. Cause of all your problems. You couldn't have a problem if you weren't into worrying and fear and concern. It's not possible. Because the mind is only creative. If you're holding a mind, fear, worry, and concern, you're asking for trouble. So think of something you're afraid of, concerned, or worried about. You'll notice a contraction will show up in your stomach, your chest. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most worrisome or troublesome, and 1 being the most positive, where are you? Measure. Take a check. Okay. So open up and just allow the energy to come up and just allow it to start passing through. It wants to leave. Just let it leave. Don't hold on to it. Holding on to it is a lack of discrimination. That's resistance, which is an automatic program. So bring up and just open up a door and just allow it to pass through. It does want to leave, just let it leave. And more. And more. And more. And more. And even more. All right, pull up some more fear, worry, concern. Pull it up. It's like pulling up an anchor in a ship. You keep pulling until it's all up out of the water. One chain after the one link after the next link. So pull up some more fear, worry, concern. Bring it up. And just allow it to pass through. And bring it up some more. And just allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. It does want to leave, just let it leave. Bring up some more concern, worry, fear. Bring it up. And just allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. Bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. And bring up some more. And allow it to pass through. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, check and see where you are. It's important to know that you're moving. Let's see if you're holding on to some remaining. Don't save some for later. Just let it go right now. Pull your shoulders back. Move into courageousness. You got to say to yourself, I don't care if my rear end falls off. I'm going to let you go. I don't care if I go out of control. Pull your shoulders back. bring up that remaining fear and just let it rip. It'll shoot right out. See if you're resisting something. On a scale of 1 to 10, the 10 being the most resistant, and 1 being the most positive. Could you let go of resisting? And more. And more. And even more. And more. And even more. And more. Bring it up. And just allow it to pass through. And more. And more. And even more. And more. Bring up some more resistance. And just allow it to pass through. It doesn't want to leave, just let it leave. And bring up some more resistance. Bring it up. And just allow it to pass through. And more. And more. And more. Hand these things out to people. Okay, when you're ready, allow yourself to be in release. Continue to release. And allow your eyes to open up.